Welcome back. We are getting ourselves set in for map 2 here. It's going to be Dust 2, and I assure you, for our sakes, we hope it is going to be a better game here. NiP not quite waking up in the first, but this should be their map to start really pushing Luminosity.
We would hope so, right? But the problem is that coming off of such a poor performance on map number 1, now how good are things going to look? We have to pray now that they've been able to go off the stage and have a few minutes to recenter themselves. And I mean, like, the problem is there's not really anything else to learn from that last map either. You just have to sort of shake that one off and head into this one.
They are an experienced team. There's no disputing that NiP. They should be able to do one of those resets, get their heads back in the game. And as said, we haven't seen much of Luminosity on this. They've been slowly working it back into their map pool. The Astralis game certainly wasn't exactly the biggest highlight for us, but let's see how much that will affect today's game. Of course, Liquid certainly can attest to how good NiP can be on this one, and probably don't want to remember it. So, if I was going to push you for a prediction, Blue, where are you going on this?
Normally, actually, I would have thrown that this is where NiP start coming back into play, but to be honest, I'm going to flip-flop a little bit here from what we said earlier when we were standing over on the other side. I think that this is actually just going to be a 2-0 now from LG. That looked like a very, very poor performance from NiP, and I don't know how they're going to come back from that. Yeah,
I think this is probably looking a little bit worrying for NiP fans at this point. The fact is that Luminosity individually look outstanding, and I think even Yanko on the desk said that could transcend into this game. If they come in that hot, I don't know how much NiP can recover from it. Sure, NiP have those really pinnacle players that can come into their own on this one. You get right, your Forest, and hopefully you get to see Pit, who was very absent from the first game. So hopefully they can start finding their form, because I do believe we are ready to get underway, ladies and gents. Let's get ready for map 2. It's NiP against Luminosity. And Luminosity are on the T side to get this one started.
Shouldn't be said, however, that in that last map, Luminosity were just 100% flawless. There was a couple weird mistakes that we saw being made there, but we'll talk a little bit about that later, as things could get started pretty quickly here with a stack in mid from LG. Yeah, and a little bit of a stack coming out from the CT side of NiP as well. There's that smoke that we've seen consistently coming into play now. It will actually allow a little bit of play here on short for these two, but that is a way to send them way back now. Pit needs to back off from that. Taco instantly looking for the punish on it, but he's not going to get it so comfortably. They'll have to now work their way up, but great beginning for Luminosity to get this mid and short control. Taco now going to lead the charge for things, as they're not slowing down whatsoever. They're already pushing themselves back over here towards Cat. Taco rolling back out. Great pop flash, as you can see. The ninjas aren't going to be able to see anything as they go into this site, but there's Pit picking up one kill. They traded out by Fur, however. Now they get control of the site. Freiburg still holding on his own, and Exist as well, still out, holding some pressure back by Long. Okay, so it's a 3v3 retake now for the CT side. They do have a kit, but that's on Freiburg. Down and Long. Coldzera still holding the flank in mid. Keep your mind on those two, as Fallen now takes the fight with Exist, and Exist comes out on top. Now the man on site is Taco, having to be that rotating turret. Desperate for Coldzera's support, but the tags come out, and Forest coming up with a kill there. Taco just being swept aside, and now 1v2 Coldzera. Can he hold on to this one? Bomb is planted for him, but he takes the extended fight, and Forest, the Pistolero master himself, will want to close it down towards him. So Diffuse comes out, and NiP will start off one step in the right direction. NiP, now their fans come out to play. Where was this in the last map? Yeah. Not a lot to
fair weather fans, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if this keeps up. It is the first round, after all.
So we'll see if that remains consistent, but LG are going to give them a little bit more room for respect because of the fact that obviously we're going to be seeing them finding the plant on the first round, so they'll be looking for a third round buy here. Just upgrading some pistols this time. Fallen does go for the scout buy, so he's investing quite heavily. But if they can get another plant, that shouldn't be too big of a deal to go into the third round.
See how they approach this as well, NiP. You've got the two players towards B. Get right in Forest. Pit holding towards CT here, but you can see how far back they are. They're trying to hold these kind of slightly more passive angles, or Freiburg playing on the apex of that corner just so they can work against these pistols. And here we go, Fallen. You got to go full on in this, and not going to get it done. He had the one shot to make in that, and he didn't land it. So it does allow Freiburg now to punish them on Long, cut off that avenue of attack, and leave the three remaining players to suffer at the hands of the others. Pit there, taking a bit of a duel towards short. Still staying alive, perfectly happy on that. And the others now from Luminosity just kind of bringing themselves back together and looking for a way through. Get right is very low, actually, and probably not a play you want to lose out on at this point.
They're ready for this hit, however, and there's going to be Forest clotheslines, FNX taking him down. And these final two here, it's going to come down to Cold and Fur. What hope do they have of even getting onto his side at this point, because they're ready for him. There we go. One of them does end up falling there, but Exists takes down the remaining two members from LG, and we'll see them start 2-0.
The one NiP fan is very excited. Oh,
they're there.
There's more. But again, you know, this is Luminosity getting off to start. This is not a map we've seen them consistently play. They've, as Moses said, started to introduce it to their map pool. This would be NiP's pick out of the two. So let's keep that in mind so far. Now Luminosity, with the plants that they had coming in, have a decent buy here. Exist going to get pressured with Freiburg, but both do stand, and that Molly's doing serious damage. Freiburg denies the opener there. coldzera gets swept aside, and FNX still holding that angle. It's pretty deadly at this point. He will get flashed and smoked out. Tries to do a little bit of exit damage, but look at Taco and Fallen instantly trying to find another way back in.
And that Molly is actually going to stop what seemed to be the initial game plan from LG, which was just go quickly out the long doors and try to get that pressure out as fast as possible. So guns are going to be traded back down. Taco will pick up the AK. Previously was rolling with a Tech 9, but first so low. Better to put it in his hands now since he's got more health to work with. And Fallen, it looks like he's ready to go in over here towards Cat, or at the very least make some noise. Watch for somebody on NiP that tries to get aggressive. But the other three are way back at the top of middle right now, looking to go back in and try to get some long control again as they go in for the Cat take.
Yeah, and if Exist and Freiburg keep being pretty consistent at holding long, it does become an incredibly tough thing to break. Everyone knows that Freiburg occasionally can come up with these incredibly big games, so hopefully for their sakes on NiP, he can have one of those joined with Exist, who just looks away at the wrong time. He might be able to peek back out here, but who's going to have the first shot? It's actually Taco to connect it first, but Exist just dancing on the angle, setting up Freiburg for the actual pounce, but he whiffs it. FNX comes out on top, and now they have a little bit of a play towards long. 6 shot from Fallen, but he can't make any more of it. Exist will keep this one in check, falls away. And now the last two players from LG slowed down here, but that bomb is left. Is it up on short, actually? I think it's still on short, at least.
It is. It does still look like it's back over there on the Cat area, so it's going to be secure for the time being. Exist picking up a kill, but Fur does still trade that out. Now they get control of things again, but with Fur only sitting down at 10 HP, it's going to be so rough for him to try and close this out, especially since he's going to have a surprise waiting around the corner. It's Get Right, and he'll close things down with the UMP.
Okay. So they actually did lose out on a fair few rifles in that round, but they were keeping these rounds pretty decent. Their money's okay. It can be spread out a little bit and reinvested into. And obviously for Luminosity, it's not great now. They went for that third round buy, didn't work out. So maybe Tech 9's buy down to about 2K if they want to, see how they feel about it. But there's the ult coming out for Pit, and he had a decent spawn towards long, so he might just take himself down there. Again, would you argue, I guess, Forest Morley takes it a little more on this map with the ult, but Freiburg, come on, don't bring in NACS here. There's no need.
I was about to say, that's for the North Americans right there.
It's just a nice little shadow, like, we miss you guys.
We're not even on North American soil anymore. That's just,
you know, it's very kind of Freiburg to be such a, you know, international person at this point. But yeah, looking at Luminosity here, they've got a decent bit of foothold into this map. Forest might get challenged down, but Fallen's made it pretty far through. Somehow gets to dive away as well. There we go, finally Forest will punish him, but this has been a pretty clean round so far, barring Taco.
So Cold and Taco now is going to go for this last-minute push, but there's a good pot flash. Pit and Freiburg are going to be destroyed by that one. Or apologies, Pit and Freiburg are going to destroy LG with that one. Bit of a correction.
So, looking overall as well, at the moment it's actually been a very well-rounded game for NiP. Exist and Freiburg holding incredibly well on long. You can argue Pit's been having a couple of here and there moments, but he's been holding down the short play pretty passively on the side. Now Luminosity needs to get this one going, and here's the big difference. We've got Fallen on the orb now. This could change things, but not just yet. So let's see how Luminosity approach this round. Now they have that AWP in play. Now they have the utility to work with. This would be the round that they'd start looking to really add that pressure here. But Pit going hunting.
It's going to be hanging back for the time being, but it looked like Forest as well, posting up near the doors initially. Pit just trying to keep an eye on if they go for that usual T-side stack over there towards the middle that they often do regulate themselves towards on most teams if they just can't find any early kill or two here. So that's exactly what they're going to be trying to form up now. FNX and Fur pushing over towards that. It's going to give them the room they need just in case they were going for a more aggressive play towards Cat, but not the case for now. Luminosity is trying to get some room to maneuver with in the first few moments of the round here.
Those flashes on long not quite being as effective as wanted, but it has caused Freiburg to move a little further forward. You can see the Taco not far off of him from now. Pit's going to be positioning himself by those cars so he can be ready for that short play if needed. Also can supplement a little bit towards long, but it is going to be Freiburg to be challenged on long at the moment. Exist is walking up as well, but here we go. Freiburg with the spray down. He only catches one in the end. Trades out with coldzera, but Pit able to focus down. Trades out again. 3v2, and that's the break, the final break in this. FNX taking down Exist opens up a.
Forest, though, he's hot on their tails, and there we go. He's going to be able to take down FNX. Now everything falls to Fallen. He still has the bomb under his control, so we can get this up onto the site and get this plan and start the timer now. But how is he going to hold this off with just the op in hand as well? Going to molly things off, back over there towards Cat, keeping the CTs away.
Look at the flank from Get Right already, though. Starting to position himself on long. And Fallen, you've got to go big here. Get Right going to take a swing out. You might want to be careful on that. And Forest now going to work through CT. It doesn't matter. Get Right connects the shot. Fallen goes down, the defuse will come out again. NiP showing that, okay, even if we don't hold the site too well at some points, we can play retake just as comfortably. They get to upgrade to the double AWP, and they get a team ace.
Yeah, I was about to mention team ace there. Get right at the end, fishing for some shots, and he's going to find a nice one. Straight to the dome of Fallen. Take him out of the mix for that round. And still Luminosity, not with a single one to put up for themselves here. Still going to be buying up into this round, however. 5 AKs, no op to be found on Fallen. But decent amount of utility behind those AKs does not mean that this is going to be an easy one for NiP.
A different style here for Luminosity as well. A lot of presence towards B, but look who's gone and had a little look for this. Maybe Exist feeling something here, but will he get any sound cues as to what's happening at the moment? They're being relatively careful, but coldzera is watching this, and there you go. coldzera pins him to the wall, but the information has been gathered. Now Forrest and Get Right brace for impact, but no one works their way through. Again, Luminosity now with the advantage finally, a clean advantage. They can start working their way through the map.
So the guys from Luminosity here finding that early edge on themselves, but really taking a huge advantage of it just as yet. Whereas in the meantime, the Ninjas are starting to spread themselves out quite a bit, keeping an eye on mid in case we do see the mid to B hit coming into play there. And also some rotations going back over to support that even more. So Freiberg is going to join the party here, and Pit too. So they're giving up completely on any even hope that this is going to be an A hit. But the problem is that we can see the shift from Luminosity's side of things now, and it's definitely looking like it's going to be an A hit through long. So they need to correct this pretty quickly. And Taco may be the signal to give them this.
Freiberg and Pit boosting that. Both of them not particularly seeing much towards mid. Taco was the player there, but already Luminosity are looking to tender towards long, getting a good bit of control already. Fallen leading the way. Pit might be able to see the cross on this. I think he's already watching it, but there is still smokes that can be put down. Pit readjusts. There's the smokes. So this will be through smoke if he gets anything from this, which would be an absolute miracle. Pulls the trigger a little early, but then again, you can't see anything from that, so always a tough one to do. And now let's find out if they're going to go for the retake here, because Luminosity have a free site, a brilliant setup with Taco still in top of mid. So this is going to really make it difficult for NiP to get a step back towards this.
This is what could have given it away early, obviously, because if Taco just goes over to counter, they're going to see that with the boost they had in middle. But now, because of the fact that they have given no intel whatsoever, and they do take the risk on this just being a B hit, there's nothing they can do for the retake at all, and they're going to have to stop this 4v5. They're just going to call the save really early, and LG finally now just completely outstratted NiP, and are now going to be able to win around through that.
That was really beautifully played. I don't know what gave away the game, or at least in the minds of Pit and Freiberg, to completely step away from A. There was obviously a little bit of presence towards mid, but to completely step off from it is a bit of an investment. But again, NiP are up a fair amount of rounds at this point. They can suffer through this. They get to keep those double ops in play. That's not too much of a loss here. So 5-1, Luminosity will get their first round on the board. And well, with 5 players alive, it's certainly in some style.
Double op setup as well now here, still in play for the Ninjas. As Pit and Forrest are going to be picking that up. Still the rifles for these guys too, obviously with a lot of saves coming in on that previous round. But LG, they don't have the edge on things here. We'll see if they can keep that damage consistent. Maybe by also killing a couple more players this time too, instead of just walking right past the Ninjas.
And really, Forrest and Get Right haven't been challenged too much at B. This has been a relatively, you know, free site. A couple of players have been over towards B tunnels, but no one yet making a play towards it. It's been Jerry mid, short, long. You've seen all the attention so far. So yet to see too much from them. But this time, we've got 4 players actually lining up here. This could be a quick play for it. They're actually looking like they're going to pop flash through, possibly. Here we go. Flashes come out. Get Right completely blinded. And here comes Luminosity pouring out of B tunnels. And they land the shot. It just takes out Get Right, giving the site completely into control of the T side. And Luminosity just flicking the switch and suddenly deciding, all right, guys, let's open up that B site. And my God, they've done it well.
It's so quick, so calculated from LG. Not only this, but they're going to give NiP no chance back. And Fallen does try to go for the sneaky play there to stop any chance of the retake, but now we see Freiberg picking up at least 1 kill here, and he's going to try to go a little bit further by getting control of the tunnels. The problem ultimately, though, is that they have no utility, and with Forrest at 9 HP, this would not really be advisable to go for this.
Yeah, I think he's worked that out as well. And yeah, Forrest solo does kind of keep that play towards a retake a little impossible. Nice flank, though, from Freiberg coming all the way around, but let's come back to this hit from Luminosity, because that was absolutely beautiful. Freiberg's really looking for exits, and he's actually out by T-Spawn, so he could be able to get a few here if he spots them out, but just moves away in time. Still trying to keep himself safe to retain this AK.
He should be good now.
Should be fine. I don't think they can get there in time at this point. But Luminosity's B hit, that's the first time we've seen that all-in B hit. They might have actually been looking to do that when Exist pushed up, and they kind of just went, all right, they've seen everything, let's maybe try something different. But that was just so hard to get into. They just went straight out of the smoke, flashed it, and well, Get Right had no chance.
Just a direct play, essentially. And the timing of it, just in terms of when this comes into play in the half as well, is almost perfect when you consider that for such a long time, the Ninjas have been weighing a lot of their defenses, and we saw it in the round before this, where they weighed all their defenses over to the B-bump site. So now Luminosity's thinking to themselves, all right, maybe they're going to lighten it up a bit. And that's exactly what happens in that last round. They only really keep Get Right in the immediate area, which can defend it. And as soon as he's taken down, because of the timing of the pot flash works out great for Luminosity, and it's essentially round over from that point forward. A couple more players do try to brawl it out a bit, but they're not really going to be able to make all that much impact, and Luminosity find a second round off of that one now.
Luminosity not going to do the same thing in a row. Getting all those players up towards short now. Sadly for Forest, he's probably heard a lot of these steps coming through, so it's not exactly the end of the world, but not exactly a favorable challenge at this point. So just going to back away from the smoke, give up that bit of mid-control that he may have had, and it's going to be down to Exist and Pit. We're playing off each other towards the side. Pit just going to be tucked in towards Goose. Excuse me, Exist tucked in towards Goose and Pit towards the side. And here we go. They're just be jumping down towards CT, taking the direct challenge, and they landed 6 stuff from FNX to get it started, but Pit and Forest stand tall in the Swedes. Send Luminosity just off point now. Fur and coldzera are the last 2 alive.
Cold trying to place himself in a position where maybe he can catch somebody on NiP moving out to try and check back over towards Cat, but that's about all they've got at this point, because Fur is trying to push himself over to the B site now. What could be crazy from this one is that if he goes for the execute on B, and they all rotate over to try and stop him, this needs to be a success in the first kill. Yeah, but Get Right's going to stop that, and now he has no chance. So there we go.
I was wondering if they maybe saw coldzera.
It looks like
earlier.
Pit saw him there, because he caught that pretty quick, but had the potential to be a bit interesting there. Just didn't end up panning out very well.
It could have been. Could have happened. But 6-2, let's kind of review this, Blue, because so far we've got a bit of a competent game from NiP. It looks like they're starting to warm up, hit their shots, starting to look more and more competitive. Not quite as much of the pushover that they were on Overpass, but Luminosity, this is still pretty early on in their T side. But again, what sort of scoreline are we going to be expecting from this one? If Luminosity start waking up, this could start turning pretty far south. And Taco's actually going for a very aggressive, quick play up towards Cat, but no one else working off the back of this.
It's still been a very competitive half for the most part here, despite the scoreline. From what you see on Luminosity's side of things, the biggest problem that they're having so far is either with finding those initial entries, because NiP just has such a strong defense on the site, or actually in the post plants themselves here. They're not really having a trouble with their strategies, it's just actually executing them. In a large part, actually, some of the same problems that we saw from NiP previously, just that it exists all across the entire round, and not just in the beginning part of it, where NiP just couldn't find any entries in that last map. So, Freiburg, good flash, poor execution on it. Now Pitts, that was going to be able to roll back over here and help out. And there's Freiburg with the first pickup. Dropping looking for some more, and it's a shutdown. There we go again. LG not finding any entries whatsoever. They did leave Cat for free, but now what's Taco going to do here?
Yeah, those 4 players basically playing off the back of this are going to be able to shut this one down unless coldzera can do something magical. But Taco is leading the way. 45 seconds, the bomb's on long though. 3 players dedicated purely to that. Can they isolate Forest away? Can they get anyone down for free? I don't think so at this point, but Taco is desperately looking for a chance here. And Forest waiting. Oh, hello, Taco. That was a bit... All right, that was a little bit of a spicy play from Taco, and now Forest actually gives away his position. So if he's landing shots like this, I'd be getting a little bit worried here if I was Forest, but no. Forest keeps this round in check so far. Now coldzera left in the 1v3, and I think he knows his chances are running pretty slim with 15 seconds left. So
he's going to be falling back now and just looking to retreat with the AK. Knows he's not going to grab it, but he may even be chased down as well. Gets into one middle, gets himself out of that for now. So the question will be, how actively is Freiburg going to try to chase him? And it doesn't look like so much. Makes it out with the AK at least. But still another round where for LG start off very poorly, and they're just shut down by NiP on their initial attempt to push out towards the long. There's never really any follow-up on it from there. Maybe a kill or two, as you saw. That was still a very good kill from Taco, but made very little difference in the overall scheme of the round.
Again, this player on long coming out from Exist and Freiburg, I think it was that time was actually Pit who joined in with the AWP. It's actually been very impressive. The control they're exerting is something to be certainly admired at this point, but there's still such an explosive style, such a dangerous style to Luminosity that could still come out and still be present throughout this game. And now going in on whatever they could really. coldzera, of course, keeping hold of that rifle from the prior round. Everyone else just on a very light pistol purchase at this point. Not much else to hand, and they might be that very explosive B hit that actually worked out really well before. However, they did have a lot more to work with, and it looks like Get Right this time might be aware of what's coming its way.
Get Right gonna find the first one there. It's actually Forest finds a go, but now Get Right comes into play. Find the second. Here comes Forest and Exist though. They shut it down. Nothing to be found. Forest jiggling around as he's happy about the shutdown they had there. LG, what happened to them? Looking so promising back over on Overpass, but here on Dust 2, it's a struggle.
Just looks like two very different teams at the moment, and that final shot from Forest, I think, was just some sexy CS, let's be honest here. Just takes his time. He had four bullets left, but he made it look good. All right, now Luminosity on a decent buy now. Not exactly ideal. You've got the Galil in there for Coldzera, but I want to see them take a new approach. It feels like some of these plays just aren't quite netting them the control they need. The plays towards long have been consistently shut down by Freiburg, Exist, and or Pit if they exchange up. See if they maybe try and adapt something. We've seen zero mid to Beast. We've seen no attention there, and maybe that's why Forest domes down Fur, but in the end, Fallen does find him, so it's Get Right again to control this. They might now know the Beast is looking a little bit weaker. Taco's going to take advantage, and Get Right goes back for more. Coldzera getting destroyed, and now 4v2. Taco got some great information, great play off the back of knowing where Get Right was and where Forest was, but sadly with that bomb right on Cat, again, NiP should be able to position around it. But FNX has found Pit, so that's opened up a chance towards an opportunity to be found. However, Freiburg can Get Right on lock. Can keep this in check. Exist spraying wildly, gets caught out by FNX. Okay, this is starting to get a little bit worrying. Now 2v2. We've got a molly, we've got a smoke with Taco, and on the other side, a nade and a flash. Nade gets used, flash still in hand. How did NiP play this? Because this got way more interesting off the back of FNX.
This would be an incredible comeback if Luminosity still somehow managed to win this round, when you consider that while their lurkers have a moderate amount of success pushing out, the main group just gets destroyed back towards mid by Get Right. And they've also lost bomb control too. They're going to be moving in and getting that back now, but
oh, look at this.
Now NiP, they've moved themselves over here to the A bomb site, and they may actually just try to push down and catch these guys off guard, while maybe they're trying to go for a push towards the tunnels.
And it's a bit of a gamble considering the time. There's still enough time that they may have been able to dash for the bomb and go to B, but FNX is peeking out. He spots down one, but it's Freiburg to shut down the chance that was starting to build here. Now Taco left in the 1v2. He hit a bit of a monstrous shot long before, but doesn't get the opportunity. Freiburg gives him a bit of the London look there, just placing that bullet through his teeth, even recovering the AWP as well. So that 2v2, though, started to look like maybe Luminosity had something going on then, but a very ballsy play from NiP to take that long rotate round long.
Taco doesn't even want to take that final 1v2 as well as he pushes back. He's just trying to hug the wall on Cat to try and find the plant. Nothing to be found, however, and because he does not get that plant, we're just going to see an upgraded pistol round coming in for LG. The Eagles, Tech 9s, whatever they may bring to the table, it's not going to be all that much when you compare it to what NiP throws at them, which is still a very full and very fruitful buy as they hold the lead 9-2.
Are we going to see the same, halftime score?
It seems like it almost, where these are some very lopsided halves here. This time, though, much more in the favor of NiP, obviously.
It does make for an interesting case on Cobble, but it's not over yet. And Fallen's going to prove that one with the P250 just pushing Forest out of spot. Now they know that Get Right's going to be... What was that? FNX, you monster. Pit's going to be left a little worse for wear after that. Now 5v3. Luminosity, you just can't write these guys out. They're still so deadly as individuals, but Get Right's put himself a little out of the B site. I think he's going to know that this might be a possibility. Just sprays in towards Fallen, catches him through the side. But it's a dangerous time now. Luminosity are going to be playing towards that B site. FNX joining, Taco and Coldzera pretty close by.
Get Right did yield control, however, so this is going to be the problem now. Trying to call this in early, but he doesn't want to take the risk on pushing back into the site. The flashbang allows him to go for the cross, but keep in mind, no smoke for these T's. So already NiP are going for the retake, rushing for the plant at this point. Get Right goes in, two of them just line up for him. Now they're going to try and find Taco, posted back in the corner. He can't find anything whatsoever without armor, so Exist is going to take him out. And in the meantime, he's found the NOP. That's great for him, but ultimately this round will be going to the CTs.
I think we were starting to believe a little bit when FNX and Fallen decided, be pistol gods, but there you go. Bomb defused. Fur does get to keep that AWP in hand, and a plant as well, not the end of the world. But again, this kind of gets to that same predicament that we started to see NiP on the first map, is the fact that you can't just... that shot.
He finds that so quickly as well.
That's such a beast shot. But yeah, it's the same predicament. It's great to get these rounds where you get the bomb plant, you build up a little bit of money, you're able to get the double up now. But at 10-2, they need to close out the final rounds now. Simple as that. So double up on both sides. This is what I wanted to see. Forest and Pit both AWPing, and Coldzera. Actually, Fur going with the AWP. I think he had the better spawn for it. Just... All right, no summit here. Chill out. It's the timing on the molly.
Yeah, that's some good patience from NiP to not try and peek out and challenge that when you consider. So Fur does take a big chance in hoping that somebody from Ninjas tries to go out there and take the challenge of the duel. Still finding somebody running through the molly, but it's not the case, and Fur essentially just gives away half of his life for free because of that choice.
Again, the AWP getting passed out to Fallen, so he'll be picking that one up. Just Fur working off the back of a very nice long spawn. And already, Luminosity having to look for options here. Fallen trying to find maybe Forest, as he does occasionally play far more dedicated towards mid, but not this round. He's posted over by B. Taco keeping him pretty present, but Get Right litters in. All right, the king of spray.
That was
just, yeah.
That was like a blind shooting gallery match there. Both of them trying to trade damage back and forth, and you can see Get Right getting a little bit low himself, but at the end of the day, he'll come out on top, so it's not really going to impact anything too much, though. But now this draws another player away from the mid hit that they were going to be going for. Ball looking for a shot. He's going to find it, but not before Exist takes down a teammate behind him. Now Get Right pushing in. That's a great shot from coldzera. Post jump, shuts down Get Right, and now we're back down to a 3-on-3.
Finally seeing this mid to B. I've been waiting to maybe see a bit of that, but they do abort it. They go back towards the B tunnels. I like the idea behind the aggression towards B tunnels then from Get Right, but it's down to Forest, and I know he can play from this spot, but he doesn't get the chance to. It's coldzera to just eradicate him from the side, give complete control over to the T side, but Freiburg is watching that cross. And that smoke is not in place. They know where Fallen is now. That bomb can't go down cleanly, and both of the T side have orbs here.
NiP don't have any utility to get back in, so this is going to be a raw retake they're going for here. And there we go.
Oh my god,
First one
coldzera
walks right into the shot. And now this last man alive, Freiburg is going to try to sneak in, gives himself away, however, and that's a quick execution that Fallen finds. Takes out the last man alive from the side of NiP. And LG finally picking up another round here.
Just sick stuff coming out from the T side, working off the back of that Fallen. Can imagine Exist is a little bit gutted he didn't manage to get Fallen as he was spraying so close. He got the player just behind him, but at the end of the day, there's still enough money here for NiP to get a decent enough buy-in. Not perfect, but decent enough. But now for Luminosity, they have 3 rounds on the board. If they get the final 2, it's not the end of the world. They can build back from this and look to maybe causing some more problems in the future. But look at Taco's aggression, and with nothing off the back of it, just tries to peer out towards A, and walking through smoke and walking out on short is not a way to get yourselves back in this game at the moment.
Even if they did bring things back up, even 11-4 is still scoreline. That can get very close very quickly once again. But not looking like it may happen on this round. We'll have to see. Hold on, just as I say that, now 2 more kills come out for Luminosity. Fer and Cold grabbing 2 for themselves and taking good control, but not going to move out anywhere towards the site just as of yet. Still just hanging out towards the middle. Looking like they're going to fall back and take long control now.
I like this from Pit, though. He's actually pushing up a little bit here, trying to find some more information. Can he see them trying to escape towards the B tunnels? Where have they gone? Can he hear the steps? Because Get Right's completely unaware. He's waiting of the whim of his team, waiting for that call to know that they're coming B, but they're not. They're lining up on long, and Pit is doing wonders here. FNX might have an idea what's going on, but still, let's see the positioning between these two, because it's ring of roses right now. FNX is holding the top of mid. He sees nothing. This could give Pit even a better opportunity. He's going to walk around both of them. Oh, FNX
no.
just catches him in the heels. Great timing on just turning around and checking there was no one had snuck through on long. Now they're in a 3v2. That's a great advantage.
Also, too, the pick gets basically 0 intel out of that play as well. He only finds a player that's back over by T with the op. So now the smokes are going to come in. So it's going to be obvious the hit's coming towards the A side, but Exist can blind spray. Not going to find anything, not even close. I was just taking a guess at it. So for Get Right and Exist, they're actually, it looks like they're going to move closer to the side. They might try to attempt this retake, but it's going to be a rough one again. No utility. Get Right just pushing in, trying to go for the jump shot, and fails, and then Fer responds to that pretty quickly, takes down Get Right. It's all on Exist now, and he's going to be found out as soon as those smokes fade away.
FNX and Fer having massive impact into that round specifically. Now, this is starting to look more like a respectable scoreline and maybe a little bit worrying for NiP. At the end of the day, they want to keep this as clean as they can. They don't want to give much of a chance. Any window of opportunity, Luminosity will take and run with. And look at this buy coming in into the final round of the first half. It is far from ideal. Pistols alone, a good bit of utility in the... Wow, the firing squad is out, ladies and gents. You only got to look to the wall to know how well this can work. But Forrest knows better than that. He's taking his time. He's playing calm. He'll just play on the CT side here.
Nothing found early on here by Luminosity as they try to go for the shocker play. Trying to get some of the guys on NiP on the cross, but now Pit. He's going to look for his own bit of shocker. Up close with the Deagle, spraying crazy with Fallen, able to recover. Exist too, going for the peak, but they don't find anything at all. FNX finding his second kill, and now Fallen with the Tech 9 out. He's trying to push Forrest back into 16, and doing so almost eliminates him as well. Won't be the case, but the damage is done. And now LG have their pick of the litter, wherever site they want to go to.
It's all in their hands. Freiburg completely flashed then, just goes back into the jaws of coldzera, and it's down to Forrest and Get Right. The classics with CZs, not so classic. But yeah, 3 AWPs still against them, 5 players, and a minute to try and defend these 2 sites.
Fallen waiting for the site peek now, hoping he can find somebody behind the box. Won't be coming from there, however, is Get Right. It's just around the corner on top of the dumpsters. Waiting to try and catch somebody on a headshot angle. Still very, very slow. He spotted them now, but I think, no, nobody's seen him as of yet. He can still hold up close, and there we go, though. Cold jumping up on top of the Tetris box, is going to be able to get right pretty quickly, taking him out of the picture. And for Forrest, he does have a flank alive, trying to tap away on one of them. No, can't seem to find it. There we go. He was indeed about precision, Scream would have quoted, but in that case, Forrest not so on point.
I think he was trying to describe how how that went down. Then at the end, you can see him trying to show Freiburg like, "Come on, I did it. I've seen Flusher do this, but why does it not work for me?" But 10-5 scoreline after what was a very long and pretty prolific stretch for NiP in that game. It looked like Luminosity did eventually start to get themselves back into this. So they do have a little bit of a window of opportunity here to bring themselves back into this game and close down into. Otherwise, we're going to be going to Cobble.
And as we said, though, for NiP, though, 10-5, still a much better half than we saw for them, and a much better showing overall than we saw back on the last map. But things could bounce back pretty quickly in the favor of Luminosity if they start out hot on the second half.
To 5 was the first half scoreline here. NiP holding on to their lead at the moment. Bearing in mind, both of these teams finished first in their regions. However, only one can carry on to the finals. Now, at the moment, it looks like maybe we're going to be seeing a third map if it carries on this way, but there's another half to be played here.
Yeah, NiP come back, obviously, did do a great job of resetting themselves and coming into this second map in a much better form. However, Luminosity, they bounced back great there in the last couple of rounds in the first half. So things could, as you were mentioning previously, get pretty out of control pretty quickly and allow Luminosity to swing back and take control of the second map. But with NiP at a 10-5 lead, winning the first like 4 or 5 rounds will pretty much set this in their favor as well. So that's going to be the key here, taking control of that pistol round, making sure that first gun round as well goes under their control. LG, however, now jump on to the CT side, and we'll see how things go for them, as it looks like we are getting started once again now, folks, with the second half.
We are underway, as you said. Luminosity on the CT side, NiP on the T side. And NiP do lead this matchup so far, but Luminosity did start coming back into the game in that later throw. But look at first, straight away, this is sick. Look at all this information. Oh my god, this is so sick from Fur. Oh my god. Exist! What was that? Just gets the idea, and now FNX tries to get that information back, get the play back into their favor, bring it back down to a 4v4, extending on long, but now here comes that Glock train. And well, it's been met by some severe force, and coldzera fallen, just joining forces and taking them down as they try and set 1-by-1 through towards shot, but GetRight forging the pass through mid. Doesn't quite get much done, leaving just Exist alive in a 1v3.
Exist as well, not even really having a good amount of intel as to where exactly should play these final two players against. Doesn't spot the one below him. The jump comes in, gets some good trade damage back in, but he himself is being pelted down pretty quickly. Trading things out for a Glock, but 27 HP. Exist doesn't have a whole lot left to work with, and also constantly watching out for that flank here now. FNX, he's gonna strike soon. He's out, 12 HP left on Exist now, but the triple shot shuts it down.
Exist might be able to make that, maybe could have got to be just on the edge, but this could be smart. Or it could be over. coldzera's going to get the peak now. They know his position. 39 seconds. He has 12 HP. This is so little to work with. How's he going to try and play this one around now? Trying to isolate maybe one of them. Bring it to a 1v1 if he could, but... Okay. Okay. This... I think Fulham's going to hear steps here, but yeah, here we go. He's going to get a plant out of this. This is incredibly intelligent from Exist, making what is a pretty bad situation actually work for him here. He can plant pretty safely. They're going to go for that short retake, so as long as he keeps his head down, he's got a chance in this one now.
Now trying to hold back, however, as the both of the remaining members of LG are going to try to go for a retake back over through Cat. They smoke it off. He's in the corner, though. He's got to line up these headshots. There's one in the second one. Exist is going to close out the pistol round and then keep the lead going strong in the second half. We're going to get an instant replay on that one because that was fantastic. He has nowhere to go as well. The retake coming in from Cat. He has to stick himself in this corner. All it took was a single shot from LG, but they can't connect. They're going to roll out, finds the first one and the second one. And this as well with that earlier kill and the extremely smart decision to roll back after he was considering a B hit. That's some incredible play from Exist.
Let's just take a second to calm down, because that's God tier play. That's something you don't see every day. And Exist was a player who used to get so much criticism, but he's been let off the lead recently, and leaving Threat as the in-game leader. Now he can just achieve some incredible things. That was just beautiful to watch. So NiP start things back off. We did have a little bit of an issue, I think it was first keyboard possibly, but everything now fixed up. We are back underway, 11-5. NiP kicking off the second half with a bit of a bang here. And try and take us into that third map if possible. Now Fallen, taking a look down middle. I think I already saw one going towards that suicide area, just running straight down, but not too much gathered. And Taco going to be walking right in towards B tunnels. This aggression could work out pretty well. The smoke's just behind him, so Exist again, not having any of it. He's got a great idea what's coming. Taco.
That's the second time we've seen him grab an amazing pistol kill with just a wild peek out of nowhere. So Taco is starting things off strong. Wants revenge now against Exist from that previous round. He's going to indeed get it. Fallen firing off some shots here, not connecting onto any of the players from NiP that are pushing themselves towards Cat now, but it's going to be a very, very quick attempt to take control of the A-bomb site. Fallen, though, is caught, and GetRight finds the first entry.
Great uses of the flash there from NiP just to let themselves actually get towards the site, and sadly for coldzera, he can make zero impact. FNX gets overrun, and now Forrest goes hunting, gets the job done in the end. A little bit questionable on the swing out then, but actually a recovered rifle here with Fur is a huge pickup. The bomb's just been planted, so he might be able to stay alive for this, but yeah, great recovery. If out of everything they walk away with this, not too bad in the end.
And he'll just be hugging the corner.
Yep.
NiP, obviously, still with a fledgling economy at this point and already losing 2 players. Not going to really want to risk 1 or 2 more lives and moving out to hunt that down. So he'll keep that AK more than likely, unless he gets a bit aggressive. He's moving out now. He's going to look for it. Doesn't spot it to his right. Good recovery. Manages to finish off GetRight, but now he himself is at 9 HP, and they may be a bit more tempted to try and hunt this rifle down.
Yeah, they're both closing in for it. Freiberg on long. And he will take it out of his hands. Doing damage towards NiP was good. Their economy was quite low, but they can certainly suffer through this, and sadly for Luminosity, they won't be able to carry that in towards the next round. But 12-5, there's a little bit of breathing room here for Luminosity, more than, I guess, NiP had on the first map, so there is still a chance they could turn this around once they get back into it, but it's still going to be very, very close, if anything.
So here now. There's going to be the early scout action coming out from Fallen. He's got support, but not really netting anything here. Freiburg's already picked up 1 kill. There's a good response, however. Able to finish off Freiburg. FNX had done some earlier damage. It brings us down to a 4v4.
Getright's probably the one who's going to go hunting, as he does have that Mac-10. Probably going to be on trying to find these 4 remaining players as Fur stepping out along. Look how aggressively Luminosity play the CT side. It's not worked out that time, as Forest was just waiting back in T-spawn with the bomb. So again, the double stack in B going to be working their way through. Taco and Fallen there. But considering that Luminosity only have the USPSs and Fallen's the man to pretty much have it all, if he can do any more damage, this would be pretty nice, but not going to happen. Exist keeps it in hand, and now just ColdZera left alive, and he's going hunting, but he's a mile away from where they are.
Good classical close out there now from NiP. Not a whole lot of trouble in this round, of course, when you consider the buy from LG. Really only had that scout coming into the picture, so from Cold, may try to line up a little bit of a flank against these guys if he pushes with the correct timing in the tunnels. However, as we can see, they're already funneling out onto that B side itself and watching for the flank. They've got Forest posed up.
And the best recovery for ColdZera here, if he wanted to try and take something to the next round, was either the Mac-10 that Getright did previously had. He switched up towards what Freiburg started with, or that scout, but both kind of hard to get hold of and not really worth it at this point. And not be able to sneak in. ColdZera gets picked up. And Inches and Pajamas keep a clean round that they actually did kind of need after some, you know, scuffles in the first few.
And now we do get into the first gun round, of course, and the real first test for NiP here. One of the few they'll have in this half if this one goes well, of course. But if they can close this one out and take the next buy from Luminosity as well, then they will have map number 2 under their control and will be going to that 3rd map. Luminosity can strike back here, however. Things are not quite done just yet. However, NiP, very quickly, they're going to send Pit out of long to take control of things here, and also going for some kills, but that opening duel does not go well whatsoever. The good news is, though, is that now Cat is wide open for the taking.
Pit saw enough on long. He knows how many players are there, but a little hap-handed from Freiburg just to fly out like that, giving ColdZera the shot. Not going to be able to follow it up, though. Now those 3 players on long would be left going, well, how do we get back into this? How do we play this one? Fallen lead the way, and he does in some style, just domes down Getright. Exists in a good spot, though, can catch a rotate. No, he can't tell a lie. Taco finds him, and now the 4 remaining players from, well, 3 now, Luminosity, were having this one under wraps, but Freiburg's going to get shut down as well, and Luminosity built themselves into this. And I've got to say, without Fallen being able to hit that shot towards Getright, I wouldn't have seen that working.
Not only this, too, but I feel like NiP was a little bit over-aggressive with their positioning in that one.
It was Freiburg when he just stepped out on short like that.
Moving out as well, where in the situation where they really did not need to hunt down those kills. So with that said, kind of giving that one away, but still, like we said before, decent cushion, especially after winning the first 3 rounds. Nothing to worry about on the side of NiP just as of yet.
Well, until a double AWP comes out, then you start getting a little nervous. That's, I mean, a couple of things to worry about then, I can imagine. But yeah, 13-6, they still have so many buffer rounds here. So many, you know, errors if they need to, if they do make them, they can recover from. And Forest could be looking for that cross, not going to spot out a singular thing.
Don't have the economy just yet to try and build up something as strong as a double op setup, so still working with mainly just the rifles at this point. Decent utility though in the mix, and Cold really just saving that FAMAS from the previous rounds. Really, no need to upgrade that to an M4 really. So we'll stick back with that for now, but NiP have slowed down tremendously now, just sitting back, and they're, once more, just like we had a lot actually on the last map, just sitting back and waiting to see if they can catch any of that early aggression from LG. But they're not going for it. They're just sitting stable in their own positions.
Yep, well, the bomb's still in spawn there. NiP still have to get that one to hand if they actually want to go into this, but yeah, a very relatively slow build here. NiP again, looking like they want to get some cat control to start off with. Easily enough done at this point. There's no one really challenging from mid, but they have been allowed to get Fallen, FNX, and Fur all over by A. No one looking for that flank, and Getright going to be sitting there in those lower B tunnels, looking to kind of deny the rotate if it does come in from Luminosity. You're not going to see the standard kind of smokes going down. Nothing too fancy just yet. FNX and Fallen will be the ones waiting for this, but I like the slower pace now from NiP. Flashed up, they are going to be slowed down. FNX able to get into good position. They are going to be dropping down towards CT, but again, someone gets spotted out on the way down. That, I think, was Freiburg, but it does get traded out for Exist. And again, Fallen has to be a linchpin here. Already finds 2. Can he find any more? He knows he's being closed in on, but that bomb going to be just tested with for a second. Exist, they're dancing with the idea, and Fallen again. That's 3 already. Taco's found Getright, and this player's been shut down. Forest is desperate to find a way back into it, but he has been eliminated. ColdZera with the final close, but Fallen, what an integral play from the site then, playing it so patiently and so calmly.
And as well, with no plan even happening there, that's going to deny the force up here now from NiP. They're going to have to respect that and just go for a complete save onto this round. So that was another intense retake coming out from Luminosity, and this is 2 times in a row now. So this is definitely becoming a slight problem that these guys are going to have to watch out for as we get later and later into the half, and the CT economy becomes stronger and stronger here as they're building it back up now. And NiP themselves had to save. So we talked about before, 10-5 is definitely not the end of the game as its half is concerned, even with NiP picking up those first 3 rounds. LG are very quickly battling this back now that they themselves have gotten the big guns in their hands.
Kind of scary if Fallen's doing that well with an M4. God only knows what he can do when he gets to the ult, but it's coldzera to get a little bit of info to begin with. Again, just spraying in towards the doorway. See a little bit of a split coming out from NiP. Just trying to maybe find a player they can isolate, get a gun away. Ideally, if at best they can get a plant out of this. friberg baiting out the shot. Nothing comes of it. Fallen's going to hold his nerve. They've got 1 minute and 12 left. They don't need to rush particularly anything here, NiP. They're just probably talking things through as well. Use the most of this round as they can. Don't need to call the timeout just yet. Then just play into the next few with the weapons.
Taco already picking up 1 frag here as he manages to shut down Forest with a bit of a feeble attempt to push out into the B-bomb site with just a little Glock. Now, though, there we go.
Sick.
There's the jump boost. Gets them a little bit more ground. However, it's still being managed quite nicely by the LG players. As they shut it down. No frags at all go against them. And it'll be an 8th one, I guess, on LG.
Yeah, Fallen is such a turret in that position. It's kind of scary. And actually, they are going to call a timeout. That's not a technical one. It is a keyboard issue with Fur. So he's going to be trying to fix that one up, I can imagine. I think. Yeah, he's just down the end. So hopefully that gets sorted out. But let's kind of look at what we've seen here, because, we saw the ridiculous stuff from people like Exist in that pistol to keep this one going for them. They looked pretty solid in this. But then once the guns came in, as you said, Luminosity have started to actually show some extraordinary presence here. So the unpause is about to come out, so they'll be back underway, but 13-8, the scoreline is looking a little deceiving here, because I think this game's about to get very close. Let's see how this round goes down. We are back underway. Luminosity still trailing behind, but they have a good shot at maybe bringing this one closer. And this fast play could be met with some serious force here. coldzera's going to be waiting with Taco. And NiP completely flashed up, apart from one, and that one being Get Right will open up that side perfectly. Although look at that damage taken en route.
Cole not really there to support it whatsoever, but he's going to peek himself out now. That's a nice shot from friberg, though. It takes down Cold and Pit's in this position, too. No one's expecting that. There's one. There is a trade from FNX, but 2 on 4 now. In the grand scheme of things, this is still going to be very, very rough for LG to pull off. Decent amount of utility, and with some decent damage done already to the remaining members of NiP, there is a good chance. But the pure numbers aspect of this one is going to make it tough, and FNX might meet his match early. Didn't spot it. friberg hiding between a little hole there between the boxes. As Fur wraps around, gets a nice little tap. Shut down Exist, but that's all he can do. He's just saving now.
And I love that, just coming out with some straight sheer force, basically, from NiP, just saying, okay, well, I remember what you guys did when you used to hit the B site, and Get Right gets a good bit of a revenge, I guess, at that point, just kind of like doing the same right back to them. So, Fur, looking to probably just keep hold of this as best he can. If he can get some exits, which he actually might have the opportunity to, this is great. He actually might have a great deal of opportunities, just dancing down towards mid. And there you go, he will be able to keep hold of this one. And Ninjas in Pajamas get one step closer to not letting this game drop, but we are going to see that double orb. This is what we were looking forward to.
Now the question is, how powerful is it? Because they can't afford to make any more mistakes. This is it. This is all we're really going to see bought out from them. This is essentially a big full investment, only leaving Far with enough to go for a buy on the next round after this one, should they lose it. NiP might be able to close things out pretty quickly here if they can get past the double op setup, but it is indeed the power couple, Cole and Fallen, as they pick that one up. Fallen going to be using his closer to the A site, and already we see a bit of combat happening. Get Right holds strong, though, in the pit as he takes that up and X, but Fallen with a nice shot trades that out.
And looking at the HP here, both are so low. friberg on 3 HP, and then Fur on 15. That's pretty tough to work with now. And Get Right just kind of got caught out a little bit on long then in the end, but as did FNX, so a bit of an even kind of trade out almost. But again, it's pretty hard for CTs to play with 4, even if it's against even numbers. Let's see how now NiP are trying to approach this, because it looks like Luminosity are reading that they like to go towards B possibly. And again, they're not completely wrong at the moment. There's 3 players stacked up. This could be everything. But friberg is selling the fake like an absolute hero. He's just made noise on short. And now while this happens, the rest of NiP are going to try and take the B site. And well, they have a great step in towards the right direction for them. But coldzera is waiting. And if he gets a bit of a glimpse, he can do some serious damage. But his force fight exists. But what on earth? They just walked into that.
They just walked in one by window. No utility used or anything. They had Fallen with a whole load of utility, but For whatever reason, they decide not to use that. I guess they wanted to try for an aggressive retake, but with all these players just going one by one, it's an easy shutdown. So NiP grabbed that round. The double upset are barely used whatsoever. And now NiP will sit on match point.
And they've got the double ups themselves for completely free. Really questionable choices there, maybe getting ahead of themselves, maybe just, I don't know, that was really weird from Luminosity, not the sort of pacing or approach we normally see from these guys. And look at this final buy possibly here. It's really shambolic. You've got two CZs, and Orbit Fallen who just got tagged up as well. Things couldn't get any worse. That's only one way to start it off. And again, it looks like Tuck and Kozera might be going for some aggression, the B-Tunnels, try and get some map control, but it's risky at this point. Well, everything's risky at this point.
And NiP know they're probably going to get aggressive here now, too. When you look at their positions, just posting up, they're going to wait it out. And Fur kind of walking into some of that own damage. However, elsewhere on the map, Fallen did pick up a kill through the mid doors and took down Freiburg. So it's not a bad start for the guys on the CT side. Now they have to hold it, however. The NiP still having a pretty big advantage in terms of the buy.
Yeah, there's so little utility as well with the CT side. They can't hold much off. So if NiP actually decide to brute force the site or just try and do like a kind of, I guess, quote-unquote standard execute, they're going to have such an advantage. But there's a double stack play here on short, which is pretty deadly. You've got FNX tucked in towards the corner, and then you've got Fallen on Overwatch. Now, they've kind of just gone for the 2-2 stack, leaving Fur alone on long. And it looks like we can see the B play coming out. And Taco's already read this really well, but he does end up going down in the end. And now that's opened up a great deal of opportunity. Can coldzera do anything here to stop this?
Pit finding another pickup on FNX. Now Cold, he's got to come out big here, hiding in the corner. He's made a lot of noises, so they're going to know he's there and exist. Jumping up on top of the box. That's an easy frag for him to find. And Forest with a second. Now it just leaves Fallen alive. And there we go. They heard the footsteps. Exist is going to find that final frag. And NiP will take control of map number 2, 16-8. And that will send us to a third and final map to determine our first finalist here at the ESL Pro League Season 3 Finals.
I wouldn't want it any other way, Blue. This is a sick matchup between these two head-to-head, and that third map is going to be so brilliant to watch. The first two were their choices, and they were pretty decisive victories, but that third map, Cobble, is going to be something else, I think.
It's going to be an absolute brawl between those two teams. We have one map, of course, Luminosity just dominating things, but NiP look to be in great shape here, and a lot of mistakes this time popping up for Luminosity. So now the real question is, what will we find on that third map? Which team is going to come out the strongest, and which team is going to have the better strats, too, because we saw these two minds just battling back and forth, Threat and Fallen, such great minds in the great game of CS, and then we had this too.
That moment is unbelievable, and great stuff from Exist as well. Individually, a lot of the NiP players seeming to wake up, but there is still Fallen, and he is still in their way, and we'll find out who becomes the victor in that third map.